We all tend to think that a big paycheck is the golden ticket to buying a house. But what if that's not the whole story? Turns out, over the last decade, some of the biggest winners in the homeownership race weren't actually the highest earners. So today, we're going to dig into the surprising and kind of shifting link between your career and owning a home.
So to get us started, let me ask you a quick question. Looking back over the last 10 years, which of these jobs do you think saw one of the biggest jumps in home ownership? Was it the tech gurus, the managers, or service workers? The answer, well, it's probably not what you'd expect.
All right, first up, let's set the stage with the big national picture. We're going to look at who the top homeowners are right now. Now, some of this data is going to confirm exactly what you think, but it's also hiding a few pretty big surprises.
Okay, so as you might guess, folks in management jobs, they hold the top spot for homeownership with a rate of 72.2%. No real surprise there. But check out who's right behind them. Teachers and social service professionals. Just edging out the tech sector. Kind of interesting, right?
So that's the picture today. But a single snapshot like that can be a little misleading. The really fascinating story, the one we're here for, emerges when we look at the changes over the past decade.
And here it is, the answer to our question. It was service workers. Get this, while high-earning jobs like management and tech actually saw a little dip in their homeownership rates, service workers saw one of the biggest gains, a jump of 2.8 percentage points. And people in sales and real estate, they weren't far behind either.
But, and this is a really important but, let's add some context here. Even with that pretty impressive gain, the homeownership rate for service workers is still only 45.5%. So while they've absolutely made progress, they still face the highest barriers to owning a home of any group we're looking at.
And you got to remember, all of this is happening against the backdrop of a pretty wild national market. The overall homeownership rate hit a low point back in 2016. Then it spiked like crazy during the pandemic, and now it's settled back down a bit. This kind of volatility, it affects everyone, no matter what your profession is.
Okay, so that's the view from 30,000 feet. But to really get the why behind these numbers, we have to zoom in. The real story of homeownership, it's always, always local.
So let's start in a place called Ogden, Utah. This city is a fantastic case study for understanding exactly why service workers have been making these kinds of gains.
So what is happening in Ogden? Well, it's one of the places that saw the biggest jump in homeownership for service workers. And the reason? It's really simple, but it's so powerful, it's just more affordable than the national average. Plain and simple, their paychecks go further there.
Now, to see just how much these local markets can really shift over time, let's jump over to Ann Arbor, Michigan. The story in Ann Arbor shows you just how much can change in only a decade. See, back in 2014, it was the skilled trade workers who had the highest homeownership rate in the city. But you fast forward to 2024, and now it's management and business professionals who lead the pack. Local economies are always evolving, and the housing market, well, it just reflects that.
And this right here, this brings us to the single most important idea in this entire explainer. The common thread connecting all these dots, Ogden, Ann Arbor, the national trends, it isn't just about salaries. It's about affordability. It's not just what you earn, it's where you earn it.
And, this quote from Nadia Evangelou at the National Association of Realtors, it just captures that aha moment perfectly. When home prices and local incomes are in sync, more people, from teachers to construction workers, can actually afford to buy a home. It really is that simple.
So let's just lock in this key concept, right? Affordability is just that. The relationship between what homes cost in a city and what the people who live and work in that city actually earn. This one factor is the engine behind everything, and I mean everything we've looked at today.
Look at how this plays out for skilled trade workers. In an affordable city, maybe in the Midwest or the South, their homeownership rate is strong because their good paycheck goes a long, long way. But take that same job, that same salary, and move it to a high-cost area like San Francisco, the rate drops, and it drops significantly because affordability is just a massive challenge for almost everyone there.
So, what does this all mean for the road ahead? Let's break it down into a few key takeaways for anyone out there thinking about their career and maybe buying a home someday.
Okay, here are 3 really crucial points. First, geography is king. Your location matters more now than ever. Second, flexibility, especially with remote work, is an absolute superpower. It lets you disconnect your salary from a high-cost city. And third,
Always remember that a high salary in an expensive city might not get you as far as a moderate salary in an affordable one.
And that leaves us with one final question to think about. As remote work continues to literally redraw the map of affordability, the picture we saw today could look completely different in another 10 years. So who do you think will be the next surprise winners in the race for homeownership? Some to think about. Thanks for joining me.